When you think of early 2000s gothic vampire films, do you think of this? Or this? Or maybe even this? Imagine if Hot Topic made a vampire film, tossed in a little bit of new metal, and gave everyone a tragic backstory and said, yeah, that's cinema. Queen of the Damned is so early 2000s coded, it might just take your lunch money and heel you away from the scene. With a Rotten Tomato score of 17% and a Metacritic score of 30%, it's kind of surprising that it was #1 film for 2 whole days when it was released. Queen of the Damned is a 2002 goth vampire film, also a horror fantasy rock concert fever dream, loosely based off of Anne Rice's novel. By loosely based, it's more so of took the same book and put a new cover on it, that novel being An Interview with the Vampire. In this video, I'll break down what worked, what didn't work, and why this movie is kind of like that one mysterious kid in high school who kept a vampire journal. Now, this film is strictly based off of my opinion. I am not a critic and have no right really to depict this film. We will not be overviewing the book Queen of the Damned, just the film. Now, before we get into the stuff that I actually liked about the film, please don't forget to like it. It helps a lot and shows YouTube that other people should see this video. Also, make sure you share this video with a friend. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on my opinion of Queen of the Damned and possibly your guys'. And while you're down there, go ahead and subscribe. Now, what I liked. What I really liked about the film was the soundtrack. Early 2000s was really about Korn, also Disturbed, and Deftones. The soundtrack featuring Jonathan Davis and a whole smorgasbord of 2000s vibe of I'm hot, but also wear leather and kind of rock out type of vibe. Honestly though, it kind of worked. I mean, they really set the tone for the whole film, especially in the beginning where Lestat was sleeping, resting, however you want to do it, for a few hundred years, where he woke up because of music. And he states that literally within minutes of the film. It zooms in on his grave with him coming out clearly stating that what woke him was music. I think honestly, Jonathan Davis really did a banger of a job in this whole film, really set the tone of the type of character that Lestat was supposed to be portrayed on the camera. Also, to piggyback off of the music, the aesthetic was chef's kiss. I mean, you really can't go wrong with early 2000s leather, chainmail, with the eyeliner and just the whole dark vibe really sets the tone for whatever and wherever they are. Also too, with the aesthetic and the music together, I can confidently say that everything worked perfectly. I think the whole thing was more funny than it was actually good, as in like, it's entertaining to watch. You see how things were 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, and you kind of think to yourself like, man, those type of people nowadays. However, I also feel like other films kind of did it better, like Blade, the whole vampire club, dark EDM thing, but that's a whole different movie. Don't get me wrong, it ain't no Blade. Queen of the Damned, good job. So can we talk about the vampire tropes? I mean, vampires playing in rock bands, feeding off groupies in back alleys, when groupies were kind of a thing. Peak goth angsty cinema. And to be honest, hey, I'm here for it. Talking about groupies and back alleys, let's talk about the MVP of curiosity, Jesse. Jesse is the one asking all of the logical questions. So wait, you're a vampire and a rock star? She's smart, persistent, and has that kind of librarian who wants to fight you energy. Jesse's flaw, however, is that early in her interactions with Lestat is that she has the keys to what she wants in life, yet her morals kind of take over. Apparently, with little that we know, you want to be a vampire, yet you don't want to do vampire things. Like with the scene where Lestat offers to change her and shows her how it is, and she gets scared. Spoiler alert, vampires need to feed off of humans. With all of that said, one of the best attribute about this film was the locations. Maurius's castle, everywhere Lestat lived at for a week, which was strange because he wants vampires to find him, yet he's moving every week. I don't know. Say what you want about the film, the set design and location scouting, they were putting in work. This film looks amazing, like a European vacation through cursed cathedrals. As a whole, the film being an hour and 45 minutes. I think the pros that I can state for the movie are the soundtrack, the locations, Jesse, Lestat and Maurius maybe, and then Akasha. We'll get to her later. Now, given how long the film is, you would be quite surprised with how much walking and staring there is in this film. There's so much walking in this film, just endless vampiric shuddering. I'm gonna have a bunch of just clips of them shuddering whenever they move. It's like the Sims vampire expansion, but no gameplay. Consistently, you are greeted with somebody talking, pausing, walking, pausing, staring deeply into you, and then flying away. Every scene is so elongated, which I think is why it's so long. If you were to really just crunch everything down, I feel like the movie would maybe be 45 minutes. So I get why they did it. However, they could have shot this down by half. Talking about that, as far as we know, do vampires really speak that slow? Or was it really a directing choice? Because at one moment, I counted a literal minute of Lestat just staring. It's a lot of staring. With all of the walking and talking, I can confidently say the dialogue was such a snooze fest. Now, I understand it's early 2000s, film was at a different level, but man, there were other films around the time that really hit the dialogue mark at 3/4 of the runtime. One really corny dialogue they chose was when Akasha was talking to Lestat, stating that your blood is bold. What does that even mean? The story is barely awake, which is ironic because Lestat eventually wakes up from his nap. However, the film never truly does. The pacing is flat, the stakes are low, and I was more emotionally invested in Jesse's trench coat than I was throughout the whole entire film. Now, let's talk about the Queen of the Damned, Queen Akasha. She walks into this film later on like she owns this thing. And honestly, once you see her at this bar scene, you kind of can feel the power that she holds among being the queen. While she's there, you can kind of notice that all of the current vampires that are there have no clue who she is. I just feel like if you're the queen, everybody should know who you are. Now, eventually, her and Lestat do meet, given that earlier in the film, Lestat did drink her blood after Morius changed him. Which, after Morius changed Lestat, Lestat was confused. Morius took him to the beach near where a bunch of gypsies were, introduced him to music, the violinist. After Lestat was intrigued by it, he picked up a violin, started playing the music, and eventually just kind of killed everybody there. But back to when Akasha and Lestat meet, Akasha gives Lestat an ultimatum. It is to either be her king or become ash. As she delivers his ultimatum, her and Lestat go into this weird Fury love scene, which I don't know if I can show on YouTube, and if I can, I'll be right here. Lestat then wakes up the next morning. Wakes up with sun beating on his skin, and he reacts with skin burning, but then he's fine. Makes you think he's immortal. Then he walks outside to go talk to Akasha to find out that Akasha's blood, being the queen of vampires, she's okay in the sun. I don't know. Vampire lore's not really clicking on this one, bud. Lestat eventually finds out that the night prior, Akasha killed everybody at this mansion. Towards the end of the film, after Akasha and Lestat eventually kindled their love, Jessie wakes up at another location. How did she get there? Couldn't tell you. Last time we saw her, she was at a concert. Now she's at a mansion. Wakes up, then you get a little bit more info on her backstory. Jessie's parents died while she was younger. Then she was taken in by a woman, Maharet, her aunt, and she eventually finds out that her bloodline is filled with vampiric bloodline. Hence why Jessie was so intrigued per her life to be a vampire investigator. Yeah, that was earlier in the film where her and her boss David both work at a vampire investigation place. I'm not sure. They don't really go too much into detail with that. After Jessie wakes up, she goes into this foyer, meets with her aunt, and a bunch of the vampiric council, I'm assuming, are there. Eventually, Akasha and Lestat find their way there. One thing leads to another. Akasha tells Lestat to kill Jessie, which he does. Mind you, in this scene, he sucks on Jessie's blood. As he's dropping her down, there's no sign of fang penetration until the next scene. Then there's these two little red marks. If he drained her of blood, I feel like there would be a bigger scar. I digress. One thing leads to another. Everybody eventually comes together. They kill Akasha. Remember, Queen of Vampires, this is going to be important. They all start drinking her blood one by one, and Jessie's aunt drinks her last blood. Now, earlier in the film, Morius, when turning Lestat, explained that if you drink the last bit of their blood, you will die. Why? They don't go into more detail of that. It's just that. So, Marahet takes it under her own discretion to drink Akasha's last drop of blood. Let me remind you, Akasha is the queen of vampires, the first vampire. Now, my biggest thing as the creator of a vampire, if that creator dies, the see Spawn die. Now, Akasha, when threatening to keep herself alive, states, if I die, you all die. Then she dies. Mariketh survives, but becomes fossilized, but everybody else is surviving? I don't know. I feel like that was a writer's error on that. However, that's just how the film turned out. Last 5 minutes of the film, we are back at David's library, maybe his house, I'm not sure. Eventually, David hears a noise, goes to check on it, checks, there's nothing, turns around, Lestat is sitting on his chair. With Lestat sitting there, David is very scared given that he knows almost everything about him from a journal that Jesse brought. And at the end of the film, Jesse is a vampire now and says her goodbyes to David. David is terrified of her because she's a vampire. Then the iconic walking scene of them walking in super slow motion and the world around them is just going hyper speed. Here's the deal. Queen of the Damned, in my opinion, is a beautiful mess. It's gothic, it's metal, it's oddly romantic. It's also kind of boring, but like in a fun way. If you love the vampiric aesthetic and the chaos of it all, I honestly think this film is for you. With all that being said, my personal rankings, which I'm sure you all were waiting for, I'm going to rate this film in a few different sections. We're gonna go with dialogue, soundtrack, location, and acting. Dialogue, I'll have to give this a solid 2 out of 5. Again, there's a lot of long, boring, staring. The dialogue is kind of weak in my opinion. For soundtrack, 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100. Beautiful. I still listen to most of these bands to this day. I personally don't think they could have gone wrong with it, and I feel it really added a lot of meat to the bones of this film. Location, a 5 out of 5. I feel like this film's vibe really set the tone on where they were. You get the back alleys, you get the castles, you get the B-roll of the mansion, you get the other locations. I just think it was executed greatly. And the acting, solid 3. The reason I say 3, I feel some of the actors and actresses really portrayed their role, and all around I kind of think it was really fun. I do wish they went more on Morius's background. They didn't, and we can only speculate mostly with this film. Now, if you've read the book and you know all the lore, let me know in the comments down below. Tell me the things that I might have missed. I personally love this film. I've seen this film hundreds of times, it feels like at this point. I grew up on this film and other films like it, and all around I really like the nostalgia of this movie, even though it was really corny and cheesy at most of the times, but who's gonna... Anyways, guys, that's my review on 2002 Queen of the Damned. If you guys like my review, let me know in the comments down below. Give me your feedback on some of your favorite scenes. Did you like the fact that Jonathan Davis was a cameo in the film? Did you also really care for the locations as much as I did, which is really the only thing that carried the film for me, and also the music? Or maybe you're just a film lover and you want other films for me to review. If so, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!